My husband always told me his work wife was just a joke. I found out it wasn't when she sent me a baby shower invitation, and the baby was his. I didn't say a word. I RSVP'd yes. Brought a gift with his real name on it. Then I handed her a folder. His medical records, bank statements, marriage license. Her face went blank. I looked at him and said, "Congratulations. You're going to be paying for two families now." Her mom dragged her out. He called me screaming. I hung up and took half. Let me tell you how I found out my husband of 9 years had a baby on the way with someone else, and how I made sure that neither of them could pretend I didn't exist ever again. We live in Little Rock, Arkansas. I've been here all my life. I work as an admin assistant for a law office downtown. My husband, Mark, has been in sales since before we met. When we first got together, I thought his long hours and smooth talk were part of the job. I used to admire how easily he made people laugh. We met at a 4th of July cookout hosted by a friend of my cousin. He was charming, wore a clean polo, brought extra ice and beer, and spent the whole night talking to me like I was the only one there. We dated for a little over 2 years before getting married. Bought a small house on the west side of town. It wasn't a fairy tale, but it felt steady. I thought we were building something. A few years ago, he started talking more and more about someone named Kristen. Always said it with a grin. "My work wife," he'd joke. "You know how it is. Every guy's got one." I'd ask him why she was calling after hours. "Just talking shop," he'd say. I'd find her texting him during dinner. "We're working on a pitch together," he'd reply. One time I even heard him call her babe while on the phone. When I asked him, he brushed it off. "That's just how we talk. You know I love you." I told myself not to be paranoid, that I couldn't let some harmless work friendship come between us. I was raised not to make drama unless I had proof. So I buried it, and I kept trusting him, until the day I opened our mailbox and saw a pink envelope with glittery edges. I remember the morning exactly. It was a Saturday, cool and quiet. I had just made coffee. The dogs were out in the yard. I grabbed the mail, sorted through bills and coupons, and then saw the fancy envelope addressed to me. No return address. I opened it at the kitchen table. Inside was a baby shower invitation. White and blush pink with gold lettering. "Join us for a baby shower honoring Kristen Matthews," it said. Below, in bold letters, "Proud parents, Kristen Matthews and Mark Connors." I froze. My husband's full name. Not just first name. Full damn name. There was a picture of Kristen, very pregnant, wearing a sash that said mom-to-be. Balloons behind her. Smiling like she had already won. The registry link was at the bottom. I clicked it from my phone. There were personalized baby blankets, bottles, bibs, a $400 stroller, and the email tied to the registry. It was my husband's. Not a nickname. Not a coincidence. I stared at that invite for a long time. I didn't cry. Not right away. I didn't even call him. I just went quiet. That silence stretched for hours. He came home around 6, said he'd had a long Friday dinner with a client. He kissed me on the forehead, sat on the couch, and turned on ESPN like nothing was wrong. I stood in the kitchen and just watched him. Then I made my plan. I started gathering every piece of evidence I could. I pulled out our marriage license from the file cabinet, downloaded digital copies of his medical records from our shared Dropbox. He had scanned them last year when applying for extra health coverage. That's when I found something even worse. A record from 3 years ago, vasectomy procedure, performed and confirmed. I printed that, too. I printed our joint bank statements. One from the week before showed a $1,200 withdrawal labeled cash gift. He told me it was for a coworker's wedding. Yeah, sure. I took all of it and slipped it into a neat manila folder. Next, I went on the baby registry and bought one of the personalized baby blankets. It was pink with white thread and had "Baby Connors" embroidered in cursive. I paid extra for express shipping. Then I RSVP'd to the shower. Yes. One guest. I didn't tell Mark anything. For the next few days, I acted normal. Made dinner. Asked about his day. Kissed him goodnight. Every time I looked at him, I thought about how easily he had lied. That Saturday, I got dressed in a navy blue dress I hadn't worn in years. Curled my hair. Put on makeup. I arrived at the baby shower right on time. It was held at a small event space near downtown. Pink balloons everywhere. Tables with candy jars and cupcakes. Everyone looked happy. Until they saw me. Kristen was near the front, smiling wide. Her belly was huge. She had one of those mommy-to-be sashes on, and she was holding a plate of cake. I walked up to her, smiling politely. She looked at me, confused. "Hi, can I help you?" I handed her the gift bag. "This is for the baby," I said. Then I pulled out the manila folder and handed it to her. She frowned and opened it right there. She saw the marriage license first. Her eyebrows knit. Then the medical records. I watched the blood drain from her face. Then she flipped to the bank statements. Her mom, who was standing nearby, snatched the folder from her hands. She flipped through it, gasped, and then turned to Kristen and hissed, "We're leaving. Now." She grabbed Kristen's wrist and dragged her out of the room. The entire baby shower froze. No one said a word, just stared. I walked out calm as can be, got in my car, and drove home. Mark called me less than 20 minutes later. He was screaming, saying I had ruined everything, asking me how I could be so cruel. I let him rant. Then I said, "Congratulations. You're going to be paying for 2 families now." And I hung up. Next morning, I went to the courthouse. Filed for divorce. Clean and quiet. I wish that had been the end of it. I wish I could say I walked away, got my peace, and never heard from either of them again. But it wasn't that simple. Mark didn't disappear quietly. He lost his mind when he got served the divorce papers. Started showing up at the house unannounced. At first it was to beg. Cry. Promise he'd never even touched Kristen. Said the baby wasn't his. That he was just trying to help her out because she was struggling. But I had seen the emails. The gifts. The late-night transfers. One night I checked our joint Amazon account. Turns out he'd sent her everything from baby monitors to bath toys. He even bought a pink bassinet 3 months before I got the invitation. So I stopped answering the door. I started locking everything twice. Then the angry text started. "You're trying to ruin my life." She tricked me. I didn't even know she was pregnant. "This is on you, Celia. You pushed me away." I didn't reply. I just forwarded them to my lawyer. Then Kristen tried to get involved. I guess she still had my number from the registry. She texted me a long paragraph one night about how she didn't know he was married. Said she was sorry things turned out this way, and that maybe we could talk as women. I stared at the message for a long time, then deleted it. But what really pushed me over the edge was when I heard what he told his family. Mark's parents lived about an hour out in Conway. We weren't close, but they always sent Christmas cards. After the baby shower disaster, I didn't hear from them at all. Not a call. Not a message. Then one of his cousins, Marcia, who I actually liked, called me out of the blue. She was whispering like she didn't want anyone to hear. "Celia," she said, "I just want to tell you something. Mark's been telling people you cheated on him, that you filed for divorce because you got caught. He's saying the baby might be yours from some other man and that you went crazy and tried to ruin his career." I just sat there in silence. Then she added, "And his parents believe him. They think you faked the medical stuff. That you made Kristen cry at her baby shower for no reason." I thanked her, hung up. Then I got to work again. I printed out everything. I made a timeline. I even got a notarized copy of the medical records just to shut down any faked documents lie. And then I mailed a full packet to his parents. I included photos from our wedding, the marriage license, the vasectomy report, a screenshot of the bank withdrawal, the baby shower invite, and a handwritten note. All I ever did was trust him. I never got a reply. But 3 days later, I saw Kristen's Facebook status change from in a relationship to single. I also saw she posted a vague quote about betrayal from people you thought you knew. Her mom commented with a heart. And that same night, Mark showed up drunk at 11:30 p.m. banging on the front door. Yelling, "You destroyed me," he shouted. "You don't even care what you did." I didn't open the door. I called the cops. He was gone by the time they arrived, but I filed a report. My lawyer used it to help push the divorce through faster. But that wasn't the last I'd hear from him. 2 weeks after the divorce papers were finalized, I got a call from Mark's former boss. I didn't recognize the number, but I answered it because it was local. The man on the other end introduced himself as Greg Simmons, regional manager at the company Mark had worked at for almost a decade. "I don't mean to intrude," he said, "but I just wanted to thank you for sending that package." I froze. What package? The one with the records. Kristen tried to file a formal complaint against Mark for workplace harassment, claimed he used his position to manipulate her, said he forced her into a relationship. But the timeline you laid out didn't match her claims. That baby shower invite with both their names? The email receipts? You saved us from a lawsuit. I didn't say much after that. Just listened. Greg went on. "We let Mark go last week. Quietly. We didn't want the drama to hit the sales team. But I thought you should know it made a difference." After I hung up, I sat there in the quiet. I hadn't even planned for that. I didn't expect to bring down his career. But I also didn't feel guilty. A week later, I got a handwritten letter from Kristen. No return address. It was 2 pages long, written in neat handwriting. She said she was sorry, for real this time. Said she had believed every word Mark told her. That he'd said I was abusive. That we were basically separated. That he couldn't leave yet because I was unstable. She said he told her the vasectomy story was fake. That he was just scared to start a second family. Then came the part that hit me. "I got a paternity test," she wrote. "Mark isn't the father." She said she was too ashamed to tell anyone yet. That she didn't know who the father was, because she had only been with one other man. But not for long, and not seriously. She said she was sorry for dragging me into her mess. And she ended with, "I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know he lied to both of us." I didn't reply. I folded the letter and put it in the same drawer as the baby shower invite. But the drama didn't end there. About a month later, I saw a white sedan pull up across the street while I was out trimming the hedges. Mark got out. Clean-shaven, wearing a button-up shirt like he was going to an interview. He didn't walk up to the house. Just stood on the sidewalk and stared. I called out, "You need something?" He walked a few steps closer. I lost everything. I didn't answer. He looked around like he was taking inventory of what he no longer had. The house. The porch. The life we built. "I know I messed up," he said. "But you didn't have to destroy me." I crossed my arms. "You destroyed yourself." He looked like he wanted to argue. Then he just nodded. "I just wanted to say sorry," he mumbled. Then he walked back to his car. I stood there watching until he drove away. But I wasn't done yet. Not completely. I still had one more move to make. After that last visit, I thought about letting it go. Really, I did. I had the house. The money. The truth was out. Kristen had cut ties with him. His job was gone. He was living in some cheap extended stay motel off the interstate, and the only thing he had left was bitterness. But the more I thought about it, the more it ate at me. He never once apologized to me like he meant it. Not for lying. Not for cheating. Not for dragging my name through the dirt to protect his own. Not for calling me crazy, or for trying to paint me as the villain to his family, to Kristen, to anyone who would listen. He was still trying to play the victim. So I did something I had never done before. I visited his parents. I hadn't seen them since the wedding. They didn't even bother to come to court for the divorce hearing, but I knew they lived in Conway, same house as before. I drove up there on a Saturday morning, parked right out front, and rang the doorbell. His mom opened the door. She froze when she saw me. "Hi, Diane," I said. "I figured it was time you heard everything." She didn't invite me in. Just stood there holding the door like a shield. "I know Mark told you things," I said. "I know he made it sound like I was the problem, that I was jealous or unstable. But you need to understand what really happened." I handed her a smaller version of the folder I gave Kristen. Same papers. Same screenshots. I didn't come here to beg for support, I said. I just wanted you to know the truth about your son. Her lips tightened, but she took the folder. I turned and left. I never expected to hear back. But 3 days later, I got a letter in the mail. It was from his dad. It was short.
Celia, I'm sorry.
We were wrong. Thank you for standing up for yourself. You deserved better. Paul, that one hit me harder than anything Mark ever said. It could have ended there. But then came the final straw. I found out Mark had tried to apply for a credit card in my name. He must have still had access to some of my personal info, stuff we shared when married. I got a fraud alert from my bank. I reported it immediately. Pressed charges. He denied it, of course.
Claimed it was a mistake.
I didn't realize it was under your name, he said during the phone call my lawyer recorded. That was all we needed. He got charged with attempted identity theft. It didn't go to trial. He pled down, but the charge stuck. It wrecked his credit for good. He couldn't get a loan, couldn't get an apartment lease, couldn't get hired at any real sales job again. Last I heard, he was working part-time at a tire shop and living with a buddy 2 towns over. And Kristen? She had the baby. Alone. She named the little girl Ellie. I saw a post once on a mutual friend's page. Kristen looked tired but peaceful. I hope she's doing better now. I really do. As for me, I stayed in the house. Got the locks changed. Adopted another rescue dog. I even went back to school online, started studying accounting. Figured I might as well know how to manage money after all that mess. I don't date much. Not because I'm bitter. Just cautious. There's peace in being alone that I never knew before. People say revenge doesn't fix anything. But I don't agree. Revenge isn't about getting even. It's about making damn sure the people who tried to bury you realize you were never the one in the ground. And now I sleep just fine. Every single night.